I also wanted to talk about two different scenarios where the seller had unrealistic expectations on the list price, and I just stood my ground in a sense, in a kind, respectful way. Scenario one was a seller who wanted to get the most money for their house, and I really thought that it was going to sell for about 20. I gave them the price. They're like, man, can we just try for like 20 grand more? Because I'm okay with settling at the price that you thought suggests, but I really want to try for 20 grand more. I said, listen, I'm happy to do that. But here's the situation. If we do that and we don't get any activity, we need to correct it quickly because days on market competes with price. And what I mean by that is the longer the days on market is, the lower the price that we can expect. So the best chance for a full price offer is the first 30 days. That's in Memphis, traditionally, statistically speaking. And that's what we're in a race against. And they were like, perfect. Then we get the photos back, and it looks so pretty, and they're like, can we try for 20 grand more? And I was like, no, the market doesn't support that. And they're like, well, explain how the market doesn't support that. So I explained that you look at everybody else, and if you've over updated or you're shooting for the moon, it's not going to make sense because not everybody is, dumb. They're going to do their research too. And so we don't want to dupe anybody. We don't want to set it so high that nobody looks at it, but we also don't want to set it to a price where, appraiser's not going to agree with us either. So no, this is where it needs to be. And so ultimately that person was like, okay, I trust your judgment. And I was like, thanks. Like I've never given a house away in my entire career, and I don't want to start doing that with yours. And so then that was settled. And then the second scenario was same thing, an investor who was going to sell some properties, and the property was listed for a certain price not long ago. And then I said, well, let's just go back on at that price and see what happens. They wanted to go back on at $75,000 more. And I was like, why? Like, what? And so it's my understanding that they have to sell. Sorry, dropped my dental floss. It was my understanding that they have to sell. So if they have to, like, why? And they're like, well, we just want to. And I'm like, no, this is, So I don't know if those two scenarios that I just talked about, by the way, ultimately we're listing at the price, because I'm like, no, that's not how this works. If you want my help, I really would be honored to help you, but I have to sell them at a reasonable price, and it has to not only be reasonable to me, it has to be reasonable to the public, and it has to be an overall good fit for everybody. We're not out here slinging prices to things that make no sense, and then everyone's upset because I really spend money to market these properties, and I want to spend money to market properties that I actually have a chance at selling. And then they're like, well, we only want to do a 30-day listing. I'm like, no, maybe I'm not for you, and that's okay. Like, I'm not for everyone, and I'm okay with that. But I mean, no, I need more than 30 days. If I can show you that the average days on market in the areas that you're trying to sell properties in is over 6 months, and you're going to give me 30 days and you want to pick the price that doesn't make any sense? No, I don't want that relationship. I mean that in the best way. Like, I don't want that relationship. I want you to trust me. I want you to believe that I have the ability to price a property correctly, and I want to get your property sold. That's kind of how I feel. And so ultimately they agreed with me as well. But then I was thinking, well, I wonder if those previous scenarios that I talked about were just in the case where the agent didn't really know how to navigate that objection. And so I can navigate just about any objection that someone says to me. And sometimes the objection is not really an objection. It's just an opinion, and then I can talk about that. But if it's a condition, then you can't really overcome those. That just is what it is. Like, I must sell this house in 35 days or I'm going to lose it. That's a condition. Or I have to sell it for this much money, or I can't sell it at all. That's a condition. But if you just have opinions about the market, the consumer does, then it's just up to you to, navigate those conversations. And I think it comes with time and experience, but you should have a mentor in your life, a real estate mentor that you can call and talk to about scenarios and what makes sense and what doesn't. And so anyway, I just thought I would share it. That's my tip of the day, is that you should have a mentor to talk to about if you have problems pricing properties. But then also, is that what's happening in your market? Is it just difficult to, are we running into sellers who are not realistic about list price, and we're just having to have more of those conversations? That's kind of the message.